And I am going to share my screen. We're gonna do this, but anyway. All right, okay, what I plan on doing today is going over chapter 11, starting chapter 11. Chapter 11 is supply chain, which is the second half. I'm going to start the first half, which is customer relations. So I'm going to be going over that first. Oh, I forgot the screen. So that's kind of the game plan for today. I did go through, I don't know if you've noticed, I did go through and evaluate the midterm, and I made changes to the grade. So hopefully everybody kind of, like, I think I've mentioned this in the past, I only bring them up, I don't ever take them down. So always better. So today what we're going to do is where we are. We're in week 12, which means we only have like 3 weeks left before the final. And so here's where we are today, and that's what I want to go over. Hopefully everybody, I've seen a few more emails on the projects, the team projects, so please continue to get those going. Make sure you know what day yours is. It was the announcement shows what group, what day you're it's due on a Wednesday, so make sure you look at that and make sure you get it in on time. Other things to think of, any other announcements or things I need. The final for this class, I believe, is on Thursday, which would be the December 14th. I looked them up. I had a question from somebody in my other class. The other class, the 10:30 class, the exam is on Tuesday. And then this class is on Thursday, the 14th, I believe. I'll verify that. But I'm pretty sure I'll put out an announcement at least a week in advance of that, so everybody knows. So other than that, any questions before I jump into chapter 11? All right, let's do it. All right. Chapter 11, like I said, CRM, customer relations management, as well as supply chain management. And we're just going to cover the customer relations part of it. I'll do that today, and then Thursday I'll cover the supply chain stuff. So, all right, let's jump to the next slide. All right, so CRM kind of stuff, customer relations, very important. And it's interesting. I think, you know, and I want to emphasize that I am very big on real customer relations. And I may have talked about this. I think I talked about it on the first day or somewhere earlier in the semester. Real customer relations. There's a lot of stuff that I think in organizations we do to try to emulate good customer relations, but unfortunately, I don't think it hits the mark. So I really mean good customer relations. And I may have given the example. You go into a store, a lot of the places do it now. You walk into some place, and a lot of times there's a bell that rings or something rings, right? And what do people do as soon as you walk through the door? You have all these people working, right? Anybody? Welcome to wherever, right? So they say, welcome to wherever. And did I mention this earlier? Anyway, so yeah, maybe I didn't. Welcome to whatever store you're at or whatever place you're at. And if you look at all the people that are working there and all the people who just said this, chances are they're very busy. They have their head down. They don't even notice you walked in. So, you know, I could walk in full body armor with a assault rifle, and they would still say, welcome to whatever. In my opinion, that's not real good customer service. That's just doing it because you are told to do that. When you hear the bell, your Pavlovian response is, welcome to, and you don't do it. There was ARMC, the regional Airhead Regional Medical Center. They had a CEO, the guy who was in charge there once, who told all their employees that it was very important that when you're walking through the hall to say hi and acknowledge other employees. And so as you're walking through the halls, everybody go, hi, how are you? Hi, how are you? Hi. And I had a lot of people tell me, oh, that was such a pain. I'm busy. And, I think that's generally a good thing, but most people said hello to the other employees just so that, because this guy, he was pretty harsh. He would write you up. You'd get written up for not saying hello to somebody else. And that kind of forced customer relations or that kind of social kind of stuff, it's not genuine, and it's just real fake. And I think people read through it right away. So that's why I do like to take a minute and just say real customer relations. If you have a business, and this is one of the things I would strongly recommend, is you want to build a strong relationship with your customers because it does add value organizationally. And I got some statistics. It might be a little old, so probably not maybe accurate anymore. It costs the cost to sell to somebody new is 6 times that more than a regular customer. So if you have a regular customer that comes in and buys things from you all the time, it's going to cost you 6 times more to acquire and get somebody different. And the other thing is when you have somebody that's dissatisfied, what do people do if you're dissatisfied with a company? You go somewhere, restaurant or someplace, and you get bad food, or you go to a store and you try to get help from somebody and the help's poor. What ends up happening when you get bad service, bad customer service? You write a bad review and you talk about it and tell people, right? So you also get bad press, for lack of better words, because people are going to tell other people. So that's why I think it's real important. I do believe, I think I'm a real proponent of trying to have good customer service. And that's why when I, back in my days of when I was working, your service desk from an IT perspective, it's kind of get into IT part of it. The service desk, that is a lot of time the first contact that a lot of people have with IT is, my computer's not working, or, something's wrong. They can't figure out the application went over, something going on. And if those service desk people are not friendly and kind of trying to help you through it, it can be very frustrating. Anybody calls, help desk kind of stuff? You do? Yeah, it's weird. That's a weird phenomena. I have no problem calling, and I'll probably tell a story or two of calling help desk kind of folks or technical support. But there's people, I don't know, anybody not like to call them? Anybody jump in? Did you say, yeah, you don't? Oh, I thought you did, sorry. Yeah, you don't?
I don't like to call because they take forever to connect with you. To actually talk to an actual person.
Yeah, that is a problem. That's problematic. And then once you get them, sometimes
They don't solve your state.
what's that?
Like I tell them, I let them know, like, hey, I know my stuff. Can you just let me know?
Jump in.
Yeah, just jump in. And then they think over like, oh, have you done this, and that? And it's like, I already did that.
Yeah, a lot of times they have protocol or checklists, or this is the way we're gonna do things. I got an old, I didn't plan on telling this story, but I have an old story. This is actually a very true story. It was probably, 15, 20 years ago. I bought a brand new PC. I don't remember what brand or what flavor.
2007, I'm assuming.
But that's somewhere on there. Yeah, I don't know. So I bought a brand new PC. I'm having trouble with it. It's not working. So I'm calling tech support. I call them like 3 or 4 times. And every time, exactly what you say, can you reinstall the drivers, cycle the power, reinstall the drivers, do all, very typical IT kind of tech support things. Same thing. I'm like, I know I've already done all these things. But you got to let them go through their checklist because that's what they do. And so then we get down, and I think it was like 9 or 10 o'clock. It was like late at night, and not late. No, it was 9 o'clock. Late for service, tech support kind of stuff. And the person on the phone asked me this question. He says, "How do you have your system plugged in?" And I'm like, "Well, I got it plugged in to a power strip. And granted, it's a cheap power strip, and then it's plugged into the wall." And then the guy asked me, "Well, is it plugged into the top or the bottom outlet?" I said nothing for a minute because I do my own home repairs. I am not an electrical engineer, but I know a lot. I know quite a few, and I know a lot about. I've wired outlets. I've wired whole rooms. I've done lots of electricity kind of stuff, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Where are you going with this, buddy? And I said, well, he said, did you look? And I said, no, I didn't look. He says, well, take it. So I looked down there and it's plugged into the top outlet of the 2. And he says, oh, well, we have found that if you plug it into the bottom outlet, it's more reliable. Okay, those of you who've never done anything with electricity, the outlet, there's 2 wires that you need to it. It's the load, which comes from the circuit breaker panel, and then the other is a neutral that returns it for power. And it provides the same power to the top and to the bottom. I'm like, buddy, it doesn't matter. So he just was like, well, no, you need to shut down your machine and do this. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. That makes absolutely no sense. I went on with this guy and I got crazy with him. I got absolutely crazy because I said, that does not matter. And I said, let me talk to your supervisor. And so he gives me a supervisor, and the supervisor, oh, I'm sure he didn't say that. I'm like, I don't know if they had a recording or not. Go back and listen to the recording. But that's the kind of stuff you get sometimes. Sometimes they're trained only to do that checklist, and you go outside of that. This guy, I don't know where he was getting that stuff from. That was just ridiculous. So yeah, it was crazy. Actually, at that time I was working, and I do know a lot of electrical engineers. I told one of my electrical engineer friends, this is gonna be girl story too. I told my and he goes, oh yeah, yeah, it's true what the guy was saying. Your problem isn't. Your problem, it's not an issue of the electricity. It's an issue you have too much gravity in your house. All the good electrons are going to the lower. He's messing with me.
I was just saying.
You have too much gravity in your house. The good electrons are going to the bottom. So you need to plug it in. I'm like, oh my God. So they gave me a lot of crap over that. But nonetheless, customer service is very important. So now I am like, I'm never buying this kind of machine again. And I'm telling you, I wish I would actually, it's been long enough now. I don't remember what brand it was, but nonetheless, good customer service. We need to do that. And the reasons why it's important, lifetime value. If you do have good customer service with your people, you will get them lifetime value. A lot of times they will come back. There are some places I go to where, I know I'm going to pay $1 or $2 or, it's a little bit more than some other place, but I'm going to get better service, or I'm going to get, better quality, or, whatever. So I am willing to go to places and pay a little bit more if I know that I'm going to get better customer service. So lifetime value. You're always going to have this thing called, and this is just terminology thing, churn. Churn is you have people coming in, you have new people coming in, and you have people going out. And you're always trying to, go through and increase the number of people that you have coming into your system and becoming a customer of it. Just like if you're familiar with financial churn is somewhat different. If I'm a financial advisor, one of the things a financial advisor churn is you're taking their financial investments and you're turning them over all the time so that you can make yourself more money. But that's a kind of similar idea. You have people coming in and going out, things happening all the time. CRM strategy versus CRM systems. CRM strategy is what you think about customer relations in general. What's your strategy towards customer relations? Some organizations, I'm trying to think I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but sometimes your product is of the nature, they're going to buy it one time. You probably will never see them again, right? You buy it and they buy it once and it's a lifetime kind of thing. You're probably not going to spend your strategy for customer relations. It's probably going to not be, we got to be very friendly and go over the top to have, good customer service, because they're probably never going to see them again. I think you should always try to, at least to some degree, give good customer service, but you may not. The nature of your product or service may be that you're not going to have a lifetime value of them. But it could be the opposite. It could be that you have potential for selling them on a regular basis. So that's what the strategy is. What is your strategy and what makes best sense based on your product or service? The CRM systems are those things that we put in place, the different tools that we use, and that's what we're going to talk about through this whole section. The different kinds of tools or different ways you can go about using technology to help you with that, based on whatever how much you want it. And the last bullet here, there's low end ones versus high end. Ones that'll just basically keep track of your customers versus ones that'll go through and tell you, all kinds of information and do all kinds of analytics about your different customers. All right. So next, let's say another couple of definitions. And these I'm going to go through real quick. Data consolidation, 360-degree view. I'm going to talk about this and more in both of them. I'm going to talk about a little more on another chart. So 360-degree view is just in a high-end kind of CRM system. You want something that gives you all aspects, all the way from your initial contact, trying to get a hold of them, to the fact then they buy something and then follow up if they call in and ask any questions, a whole 360-degree view, as they call it. And then collaborative CRM is that it's a way to help you collaborate throughout your organization and use that 360-degree view. Okay, so let's talk about the different types now. Operational CRM systems. Now the systems, what are the kind of things? In these first two bullets here, the customer facing applications, we're going to go over that. Customer facing and then customer touching. That's their next couple charts down. So that's just kind of a lead in on those. But operational CRM systems, provide the following benefits. In general, that it gives you that efficient, personalized marketing and all the sales and all the information based on them. So it gives you the opportunity to see into, this is a customer that comes all the time. This is a customer that buys a lot of stuff, or this is a person who maybe buy one thing. And I have, when I do, like I said, I use technical support a lot. And there are times when I'm on the phone with somebody and I've actually had them tell me, oh yeah, I see you bought our product, or you're a good customer. You've been around for, you've done quite a few things. So, we're gonna extend the warranty beyond what it was, or whatever, those kinds of things, since they can see those kinds of my background and my history with them. Once again, the 360-degree view of each customer, so you can see what they have or haven't done. Yeah, and it's that last one is kind of what I was talking about. I've actually, like I said, I've been on the phone with them, and they've said, yeah, we've had you. I wonder, like the story I told earlier. I know that they had some degree of a CRM system, because when I called in, one of the second, third time as I was talking to them, one of the things they said was, oh yeah, I see you called in and they've already tried this. It was interesting because they did the one person told me, I see you tried this, and well, let's start over. Let's make sure we'll do that again. And I'm like, do we have to do all that again? Because all those processes they take, restart your computer. Okay, that takes a couple minutes, and then reload the drivers. Do they do? I don't know. Does tech support still do all that stuff? Do they still reload drivers every time anybody? Anybody? I don't know. Yeah, that was the standard protocol, and the whole steps that you take to go through it. So, but they could tell that I had done those things in the past. All right, so now, like I said, I skipped over the lead-in kind of stuff, and now we're going to start. I'm going to spend a few minutes anyway. Maybe slow down back again, getting back caught up. Customer-facing application. Customer-facing applications are when you have a customer and they're usually you interacting with somebody, a support person. Like I said, I call in and I'm talking to a person, and I'm talking to them, and then they are using their internal systems to talk to me. So that is a customer-facing kind of application. And so it's usually customer service kind of thing, where you call in and you can get information about anything, or you can ask them for support and product kind of stuff about it. Things like a lot of times, sometimes in technical support, I have a lot of tech stuff in my house. So like I said, I do a lot of home automation, which right now, I should probably not admit this, but my home automation, something went weird. And that's anybody else, nobody else, I don't think I've asked this. Anybody do automation, home automation kind of stuff? When it works, it's great. Just everything turns on automatically. Everything works beautifully. Unfortunately, the state of home automation right now is there's usually disparate systems. You have this guy control your lights. This guy controls maybe your doors, and everything's kind of separate, and you have to integrate them and get them all talking together. And so it works harmoniously. Everything comes on and goes off at the right time. Right now, I have something weird. Something's not talking correct to one of the other systems. It sucks. And it's figuring out which guy is the bad guy right now. I need to restart everything and maybe reset a couple things, and my automation's just kind of gone whacked right now. My wife's about ready to shoot me. Can we just get this? Just turn the shit off and I get those kind of stories. Just turn it off. I can go like this. I can go over here and just turn the switch on. It's it just takes a second. I have to get up, but so yeah. My world, my automation, I'll have it solved. I'll figure it out. I'll probably just resettle. I think I know what the problem is, but anyway, that's the issues with stuff. So a lot of times you can call up and say, hey, this is what I'm seeing. Can you, and they will help you through it with their support, customer service kind of stuff. And I'm going to talk a little bit more. The next chart, I think, is customer service specific kind of things, as well as Salesforce automation. It's a component that automatically records all the information, the components of it. Especially nowadays, a lot more stuff we're doing. I remember back in the olden days, the good old days. I would call, and the customer facing for the support that he would get, they're typing this stuff in. Well, just saying, okay, let me capture all of what you just said. And so you'd hear them pausing it and they're typing it in. Now, with all the stuff we're doing much more stuff online. And I'm, directly using, that's what the next section is going to be. And so it captures it automatically rather than me having to tell them. Marketing applications use data mining. One of the things that's really helpful, some of the marketing tools in customer support will actually mine and find out, oh, this is kind of a common cause of this, and will help with the sales, the customer applications, and help to solve and resolve the issues. And then the last thing, campaign management. Campaign management with your customer service is a lot of times. Sometimes it's helpful to go through and say, okay, and this may or may not be a good thing. We have this person and they do a lot of stuff with us. I bought a lot of, for example, my automation stuff. Now that I talked about that, now they know that that's the kind of stuff I'm interested in. And so a campaign would be sending more automation kind of stuff to me because I'm more likely to buy it, right? Versus sending stuff to a person who is not using those things. All right, so customer service support, like I said, and change the chart over here. So what are some of the different kind of customers? This is kind of the more important stuff. If you're gonna have an organization, you have a product that is prone to having some kind of a service desk. I would strongly suggest, and this is, I was really big on our service desk folks. Be friendly with them, like I was saying, be friendly with them. And the one thing is make sure you use, try not to use IT buzzwords. Be careful with that. People call up all the time, right? And you're already probably, my damn computer's not working. You're frustrated. They're kind of spun up. And the last thing you want to talk to, right, when you're trying to solve a problem is somebody who's talking very techy and using terms you have no idea what they're talking about. Right. So you want, with the service desk, help desk, whatever you want to call it, I was always real big on, you got to talk in general terms, try to figure out, like you said, somebody said, I understand this stuff. I have some tech background. Well, if they do, well, you can bring your talk level up to theirs and talk at that level, but always assume they don't know anything about it and use very generic terms because they are crazy. They can get crazy frustrated. I think I mentioned in this class too. One of the things I had to deal with, my dad, now he's kind of out there anyway now. He's got memory issues. But he would call me and say, hey, Mark, my computer's not working. I said, okay, what's going on? I think I mentioned this, right? He would answer things like, well, I got this little thingy right next to a doohickey. He would use all kinds of words that I have no flipping idea what he's talking about. And that's because he didn't understand this. So I'd have to say, okay, well, what does that little thingy look like? Describe the little thingy. Oh, the little thingy has a picture of it was basically an icon. And what does the icon look like? So he'd finally tell me, okay, now I got that. And so, stuff like that. But it's really important for call center kind of people to be able to do that. And I think it's real, and that helps the process of solving people, and that creates that good customer service. Another story I never, semester to semester, feel like I use the same example. I tell this story about Dyson. We have a Dyson vacuum cleaner. It's not a real technology story. We have a Dyson vacuum cleaner. This was several years ago. Wasn't working. You turn it on to make a lot of noise, but it wasn't, sucking. It wasn't able to vacuum with it. So I went online. Where's the tech support number? I called the tech support number. And there was a lady on the phone says, oh, okay, it's not working. Do me a favor. Are you around it? It says, plug it in, turn it on. And so I plug it in and turn it on and put the phone by the vacuum cleaner. I'm like, okay, this is kind of different. Turn it on, put the phone by it, waited, 10, 15 seconds. She goes, okay, you can turn it off. And then she says, all right, turn it upside down, take this thing off. And sure enough, there's a clog exactly where she led me to. I was blown away. Yeah, awesome. But she could tell they were trained by the sound that the vacuum cleaner was making exactly where the clog was and how to take it apart and fix it. Now that's good customer service. That's the kind of stuff, you know, I don't, that's amazing. I was blown away. I'm still amazed that they could do that. I'm not sure. I couldn't tell. I was always tempted to clog someplace else and see if I could tell the difference in the sound, you know, just to, I don't know, that's kind of geek I am. But anyway, call center is very important, very good. But be aware too, there are people, some people, because you get intimidated by them. They won't call technical support because they do use weird words or whatever. So you got to figure out, make sure it works out very well. Customer interaction centers, once again, outbound kind of stuff, telesales, call to customers with specialists on. I have a son, well, he's now a former son-in-law. He's high-end retail kind of sales. They have a customer's, he sells cashmere, sweaters, hats, and believe socks. Cashmere socks. Cashmere, right? You know, it's real expensive. Where's the cashmere come from? Anybody? I don't know either. Anybody? It's expensive, whatever it is. If you buy cashmere, I have a couple, but back when my daughter was still married to him, we'd buy things. By the way, cashmere socks, they cost I think it's like $50 for a pair of socks, and you have to dry clean them. Nuts. Anyway, but he sold, I think he still does, sells cashmere stuff. And he does this outbound telesales. Cause he gets customers that are very, you know, he talks to them a lot. He's a very good salesman. He talks to them, gets to know them, and he knows what patterns of you know, colors or designs and stuff they like. And if new inventory comes out, he will call them and say, hey, listen, you know, you've told me in the past you like these shades of green or these blues or whatever. And we just got a new shipment in. We got some stuff you may like. And you know, I can shoot you a text of it or whatever. And he does that kind of outbound telesales because they have a customer relations thing that kind of keeps track of that stuff. So that's something, depending on, once again, all this stuff is depending on what kind of a, you know, product or service you have. Me personally, I don't know anybody. I would be like, don't call me buddy. Well, I don't know. I don't like that kind of sales approach. But in his sale, in the way he works, he's working with people with way more money than brains. So that it works out very well for him. And then the other one, inbound teleservice, is customers call you, kind of as I was talking about, asking you for information about different things. All right. And a little bit more about the Salesforce automation. Like I said, I deferred that earlier. Salesforce automation, IT tools to assess you or help you with things. Contact management systems. A contact management system tracks all your communications with different people. And you may have contacts for that you're working with sales or whatever. Based on things. Now I'm going to talk about this one and the next one kind of in the kind of together. I spent a period of time, this is back in the 90s, probably before you were born. I wanted to get out of engineering. The whole defense world was going down, so I decided I was going to be a financial advisor. I spent a year and a half, 2 years as a financial advisor, so I'm somewhat trained in finance. And part of that training was they had a contact management system that we had. It was actually, it used to be called, it was American Express, their financial advisor branch of American Express. They're now Ameriprise. They've sold, they split off that piece of the organization. But as part of that, we had a contact system, and they had the system where they would send, let's say, you know, you're an American Express card holder, and they would send out your bill. And in that bill, they would have a card in there that said, are you interested in short-term savings? Are you interested in long-term savings? Are you interested in debt consolidation, estate planning, all the different types of financial planning or assistance that we would do as financial planners. And so one of the things that do, and then if you checked a box and sent that back in to, you know, as with your credit card bill, then they would take that information and they would send it. That was the credit card part of the business. They would send that over to us, the financial advisor branch of American Express. So we'd get that information, and now somebody checked a box, let's say estate planning. So I'm more in the estate planning kind of line now, I'm older. So one of the things that we say, we get that information, say, hey, this person indicated that they want estate planning. So we call them up. Hi, this is Mark from American Express. You had indicated you're interested in financial estate planning. And so that would be, so they had a contact management system that would keep track of that. And then I could go in and I would type, okay, call them on this date, this time. And they said they, set an appointment, or I'm doing this down further. And so it would keep track of that. So it was kind of the lead tracking system. Unfortunately, what do you think happened most of the time when I call somebody? Hi, this is Mark. I'm from financial. They go, I didn't ask for it. They had most of the time, most of the time said, I don't remember checking any box. I didn't put that. And it was a sales call, another sales dude. And so you always had to kind of walk softly into the conversation, because most of the time, just like today, it's even worse today because there's so much of that kind of stuff going on. They thought it was a cold call. I was just randomly calling them. And they don't remember checking that box and sending it in. But those are the kinds of things you can do. Very, very helpful for me, because I can remember, I could keep track, because we were making lots of calls. We get lots of information from that system. That was a painful time in life. Anybody's ever done that line of work? Anybody ever had to do calling like that? We called it dialing for dollars. You call and some people hang up on you. Back then, it was not as pervasive as it is now, and so it wasn't nearly as, people weren't as mad usually and aggressive with you. Anybody still get that stuff, right? Anybody get crazy over it? I do. I kind of still do. It makes you mad. Nah. I don't know. Every so often I like to. You ever play with them? Like I'm that kind of guy. The ones where they call and say, "What's the thing about your car?" That your warranty, your car warranty. Anybody ever do? I'll keep them on the line. I'm like, oh yeah, well, my warranty's up, right? And sometimes they say things like, they say your warranty's up, and I say, well, if my warranty's up, and they ask you what car is this? Well, you called me and said my warranty was up. You should know the car, right? And they're like, well, no, remind us. And so I gave them, like, my very first car was back in the 70s. This is a 1972 Mercury Capri. And, they're long gone. And so the person, they said, what kind of car is this? It's a Mercury Capri. And they're like, huh? They don't even know what the car is. And they say, what year? And they tell them, oh, well, do you have a newer car that needs a warranty? Well, wait, I just do stuff like that. And there's actually all kinds of stuff about, the longer you keep them on the line, the worse it is for them, because they don't want to mess with you either. So I could do that every so often, just because that's the kind of guy I am. I wouldn't recommend it necessarily.
I love wasting your time.
What's that?
I love wasting their time.
Yeah, exactly. Well, a lot of times they're rude. And here's another thing. Sorry, we'll have plenty of time. I'll get done with that early. We're in good shape. One of the things I was taught when I was doing the American Express stuff, which Ameriprise, one of the things they taught us is, if you call somebody and they say they're not interested in the product, or they don't want to, they don't want to do it, right? Nobody said they do this line. They tell us most people, the first no isn't really a no. It's kind of a soft no. So they taught us things like, resistance training. If they say no, the first time, this is what you do to try to fight that resistance, or get them to keep talking to you, to try to convert them and say, oh yeah, maybe I'll set an appointment. We'll come and talk about it. So that's how I was trained to do those kinds of things. So I understand the process and the thing, but the rule always was 3 no's and you back out, because once the person gives you 3 no's, the customer service part of it, now they're getting pissed off. So if they say no 3 times to you, you gracefully, okay, well, I'm sorry, you try to patch up the relationship, make sure they're happy. I'm sorry, well, I hope you have a good day. You say all that kind of stuff. And then you back out of the call, because after 3, they're going to start getting mad. That was kind of the rules that I was taught under. And so I've stayed on the phone with people, And now, I don't know, they clearly don't teach that anymore, because I've had people, they'll keep going. I say, listen, buddy, I've already said no 4 or 5 times and you're still trying. When are you gonna get the hint? And so sometimes I'll just test to see, I don't know. I got nothing, when you're retired, you got nothing better to do too, right? But that's bad customer service kind of stuff, so, I don't know. Be aware of these things. Forecasting, and systems. You're collecting a lot of information about what people are buying, and so, those of you who are, I don't know, I think we have some, I don't know if anybody's here now. Analytics, the book doesn't really necessarily call that, but that's becoming a big thing now. We're using information such as sales information, some of these different tools, and looking more and more at what kind of forecasting and using the analytics to predict what kinds of things will sell, or what kinds of things we could do to convert people and get them to buy our product or service. Product knowledge systems, very, very helpful too. A lot of times, product knowledge, trying to find out things. One of the things I have a home receiver, a home theater kind of stuff, ceiling speakers and the whole 9 yards. And my receiver, before I bought the particular one I have, there was a specific feature in it that I needed to know. And it wasn't clear to me. It wasn't listed in the technicals, things that or what it has. So I call up and I talk to this and I ask them, did it have a very specific output for splitting off other kind of devices on it. So, but that's that product knowledge. And being able to, you call somebody and you ask them technical questions about it as well. And the last thing, configurators being those, if you want a specific, there is something specific about it. Configurators I always think of, like Dell had originally. What do we have here? Dell machines? Yeah. They were the early original, hey, you can go online or you can call in and say, I want a desktop machine with this kind of a case, or a laptop with this kind of a case, the size, the function, and how it works, amount of memory, amount of the type of CPU and all those things. And you can configure it to whatever you want specifically. Good customer service, because it allows you, because then you allow them to get exactly what they want. All right, so some marketing things as well. Probably very familiar with these types of things. These tools, and especially the analytics, can help you with things, and a lot of marketing kind of goes into these. Probably familiar with these terms to some degree. The first thing, cross-selling, and what is cross-selling? When you're cross-selling a product, what are you trying to do? You know that they want to buy something specific, right? I was talking about TV and entertainment system. I'm buying a TV, so right, I'm a flat screen TV. So what are the chances of what other thing would you possibly want to cross-sell them that they might want as well? Well, they want what's that? An audio system, absolutely.
Blu-ray player.
A Blu-ray player. People still use them. I have my Blu-ray player and I haven't put anything in that thing. And I probably have to scrape the dust off the front of that.
I mean, you can collect stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, all kinds of different audio stuff, home theater kind of, a wall mount, now, a lot of times I don't know. Mine are all mounted on the wall. I put all my TVs mounted. I'm real particular about wiring too. I hate seeing wires all over the place. So I always run my wires up the wall. I put electricity behind it. I'm just real particular about that kind of stuff. So those kinds of things, cross-selling would be, I'm selling a TV, I'm going to sell an entertainment system. You might want to look at this entertainment system or a speaker on the separate speaker for it, or a wall mount or something. Cross-selling a similar product. Amazon, real good at that, right? People who bought this also have bought this kind of thing. Very good at that, and that's a cross-selling. The next one, upselling. How's upselling different? Any thoughts? I always think of this as the McDonald's kind of, hey, you gotta, yeah.
It'd be like something like, hey, you're at a restaurant like McDonald's.
Yeah.
And you're just buying a Big Mac. They say, hey, would you also like to buy this new shake we have?
Yeah.
Nice and this and that.
Or power size your meal, right? If you're buying you're just buying the, oh, you wanna buy the, the next size up and get a larger, a large, instead of a large, you get a monster drink or whatever. I always think it's just amazing too, how, I mean, drinks are just, they're huge now. Like, I was always,
Yeah.
when are we gonna get to the point where, like, wheeling
They
a
just
trash
have a
can?
jug.
I got a trash can full of soda, so it's like crazy. But that's upselling, the person you want a medium, a large, or you're upselling, you're trying to get same product perhaps, but a larger version of it, or a more expensive version. And then the last one, bundling. A lot of times bundling, you sell like products or things that are complementary, but you sell them together for discounting. When I think of bundling, I think of like a lot of the internet provider kind of services. Something Comcast, Spectrum, I have AT&T, Uverse. If you get their internet services, their TV service, a phone service, and all those things, bundling different similar services together and then giving a discount based on that. So that's some of the different marketing techniques. And a lot of times the CRM systems will help you, and in the case of maybe the upselling one of the things that the CRM, the analytics that are built into them will help you say, okay, a lot of times, very high percentage of times, when you ask somebody if they want to power size this or whatever, very high percentage of them will do it. So make sure you're asking that question or suggesting specific products, because a lot of times that'll help. And a lot of this stuff, some of this stuff I can easily talk about, and it drives me crazy when they're trying to upsell me or try to cross sell something else. I'm here. Can I just do the transaction and let me out of here? I'll pay an extra $5 if you don't try to sell me something else. Just let me get out of here faster without all the sales pitch kind of stuff. I get that, but that's part of one of the things, and the reason we go through this in here is, it's a viable, it works. It's proven sales kind of stuff. And, to some degree, if it does work and it works well, oh yeah, I should have bought a TV mount for that. Oh, I'm glad you suggested that. So it is good for your customer service, and you should consider doing these things, even if you don't like it yourself. All right, so customer touching. Now, customer touching is now the customer facing was where you have the person in between, probably an employee. Customer touching is where the customer's actually touching the application, the information, and doing it themselves. You have all these different kind of functionality and things they can do in order to get to look at stuff. The first one, search comparisons. The ability, and mostly I think of these as online kind of tools. Anybody, you go in and I'll use the example of TVs. You're shopping for a TV or something, and you go in, and if you're you search, I don't know, maybe you search based on some category, and then there's the capability to click on several. Right? Anybody ever see this? I can click on. My experience is typically like up to 3. You click on 3 of them, and then it'll say compare. Right? And so it'll show you the comparison of them. So those functionalities, good customer service that allows them to shop and find out, compare things on their own. They don't have to call and ask somebody, well, what's the difference between this one and that one? So it's actually giving you that comparison of the whatever the products are. All right, and then technical and other information, like I was saying, sometimes it works, like with my receiver, my entertainment system. There are certain times where you can go in there and they'll all the technical information's there. You just have to search and find it. You don't need somebody else to help you get to it. You can get to it yourself. I really like that, because sometimes, like we were talking earlier, when you call in to try to talk to somebody and ask, sometimes you're on the hold, or you're in the waiting queue forever. So whenever I can get into and go look myself, I certainly appreciate that. Mass customization of different things, customizing your products or services based on the user's needs. Talked about that already. Personalized websites, or web pages. You might have your system built in to keep track of, well, this person, and once again, I think Amazon does this. What's your search history? When you come to our site and you're looking at stuff, what is your history? Well, this person tends to look at these kinds of things. And so it'll personalize it. And with the use of AI, we're getting even more and more, we're getting better at doing those kinds of things because we can, well, they look at this and they're probably interested in these kinds of things. So it can personalize it based on what you're, whatever you're interested in. The only thing is Amazon does that very well, right? The only thing that's kind of interesting, I have one Amazon account. I use it, my wife uses it, and I think one of my daughters uses it. So that whole personalized algorithm kind of gets messed up a little because we have very differing thoughts. I search for home automation stuff. I'm looking for tech kind of stuff. My wife, she's actually a dietitian. So she's always looking, searching for products to sell to her clients and stuff, vitamins and stuff. So we get, so some of the searches that we get, mine are like really weird, some of the suggested stuff. And because then, then throw in the mix with my daughter in there too. So it gets kind of messed up and I don't know how, that's kind of a weird thing, that personalized thing. It gets messed up if you have individual, different people use one account with multiple people. FAQs, talked about this one already. Frequently asked questions, allows people to go in and look at look at something. A lot of times it's based on, we've had a lot of questions, a lot of people asking questions about this specific thing. Well, let's just put an FAQ out there and they can read it. My experience with FAQs, I think I talked about this last time, is they're usually not kept up to date. And as I go and I read them, or I try to find, yeah, it's kind of the situation, but not really. So it doesn't really help me. It's kind of, it gets me closer, or, I don't know. My personal frustration is that they're not kept up to date. And even more importantly, if you do something like this, one of the things I've seen, anybody ever look at FAQs? So you're going through them and has one, it's the exact situation or exact conditions or problem that I'm having. So I started looking at the FAQ and then I started noticing, oh, yeah, but that's an older version of their software. That's an older version of their product. They've updated the product and it no longer looks like that or something. I get really frustrated. It's like, you thought you had the solution, and so FAQs, you can't just throw them out there. You got to maintain them. You got to keep them up. And that's very problematic as well. Email and automated responses, getting better once again. Artificial intelligence, AI kind of stuff now, helping to do this better and better all the time. Some of the older automated responses, you get a bot that would come and say, hi, this is, and and you type in your question and it would come back with some nonsense from me. So they didn't work very well, but now you're starting to see, and these capabilities are becoming more and more prevalent, is that the AI can help you find better answers to it. And I think that's going to be improved over time. So it's something definitely worth considering. And the last thing on here is the loyalty programs. For customer service, something I think of these, the old, I don't know if grocery stores used to do it, where they used to give you a little card with a barcode on it, right? And you'd go in and they always scan it. Or I think they still do, where you go in and you type your phone number in or something, and it says, and it keeps track of information, customer service kind of things. And what do they think? Well, if you give them your email, they'll mail you maybe discounts on stuff that you buy frequently or complimentary kind of things. I go in and I buy, let's see. What's a good example? Let's say I don't really drink milk or eat cereal, but it's a good example. This person, let's say I go in and I buy a box of cereal. Well, it might say, oh, okay, since he's buying cereal, it's very typical. A lot of people put milk on it. So maybe I'll send them ads to buy more milk or different types of cereal or whatever. So those loyalty programs can actually, for a marketing campaign, help you send the right stuff to the right people. Good customer service kind of stuff. All right. So the next CRM systems, I think we only got one or two more charts, and I'll be done. analytics CRM systems, analyze your customer for a variety of different things. Designing, executed targeting marketing campaigns, kind of mentioned this a little bit. So looks at your kind of stuff, the analytics, and says, oh, okay, this is one of those things that the person typically buys a lot. So I'm going to target them towards a specific thing. Like in my case, I do a lot of review on automation and home automation kind of things. So a good CRM system would say, okay, let's look and go after and try to look for other kind of things that he might be interested in. Targeted campaigns based on what your interests are. And it can help you do all these things. Like I was, the cross-selling, upselling and all those, like I was saying, sometimes if you're keeping track of, I'll go back to the McDonald's example. If you're keeping track of, okay, whenever we say, when somebody buys this meal or this kind of thing, if we suggest upsizing it to the next one, 60% of the time that's effective, and maybe it doesn't, and 40% of the time it's not effective. But that's an indicator that hey, it's worked 60% of the time. That's probably worth doing. So it's it's worth kind of telling your staff, make sure you do this with every customer, and trying to make more sales. Once again, whether you like that or not, this is something you can try in your business, or not if you don't like that enough that you say, I would rather not upsell or do all that stuff, because it's just, I think that's bad customer service. I don't want to annoy people. It's whatever works in your, whatever environment you are. Providing input into decisions relating to products and services, pricing, other things. Sometimes one of the things, like things like pricing and stuff, one of the things an analytic system could actually look at the things and say, okay, if we cut the price by this much, it gets into the economics of things. Maybe that we will sell more of this because we have cut the price, and it gives you some information based on or how to posture your product better for that. And then the last thing, financial forecasting. For customer product, uses some of the above tactics to figure out how can we, how will this help us profit wise? When we do, the upselling, the cross selling, and how will it help us for our bottom line? All right, and I think this is the last chart I plan on going over today. Yeah, I think it's. Let me get my other chart. All right, so yeah, it is. The next chart is supply chain, so I'm gonna stop on this. So other types of customer relations management system, on demand. We talked about on demand in some of the other way. Once again, you can use software as a service or in the cloud-based systems. If you can't afford to buy a CRM system and host it, put it on its own server, have people maintain it, one of the things you can do is have it as in the cloud or software as a service. In terms of, if you're not familiar with software as a service, that's usually when you're doing your software, you're running it somewhere remote in a cloud environment. That's what usually the term software as a service, SaaS, kind of stands for. And it can be what they're calling in this chapter as utility based. One, like I talked about last time, all of a sudden, based on the way my product or sales go, I'm going to have more. My season is I'm going to have more sales coming in the next month, so I need to increase and ramp up. So I need to have my CRM system per se. I need to be able to use it more than I probably would, or I need to do one of those. I need to look and do some analytics and send out a campaign to sell certain products, certain of my products to certain ones of my customers. So it can actually help you do those as well, and as a utility in the cloud. Mobile CRM, use your mobile device for sales. Once again, this is one of those, if the book really hammers on the utility of and how good mobile stuff is. To me, it's like, I think the authors need to, we all get mobiles here, right? Mobiles here, it's probably the desktops are not going to be as popular. We're not going to see as many of them. But so anyway, the mobile, you can use CRM systems that are mobile based. Open source, once again, open source is that, the ability to grab something. Let's say you're an organization, you're a small organization, fairly startup, you want to do this CRM business, but you really can't afford to buy that part of it. Open source is usually free or very, very cheap stuff, kind of buyer beware if you're going to use, somebody else's. It has basic functionality, a lot of times in a full high-end kind of CRM system, but it allow you to do things, it allow you to have basic capabilities. And they give an example. I've never really looked at this guy, this Sugar CRM. I believe it's still out there and available. It's probably an open source. Probably allows you to go out, create a customer database, keep track of certain parts of it. But it's open source, free software. Social CRM systems use social media kind of outlets to allow you to get plugged into that information. There's a lot of valuable information in social media now. People are tweeting out and putting in Instagram and all kinds of different areas, information about their product or service and how good or bad it is, kind of the customer relations kind of stuff. So social CRM systems are trying to go out and extract and find what that, gather that information and use that for your own internal analytic kind of things. And then the last thing here, real-time CRM, real-time meaning, this is another one of those old throwback kind of things. Real-time being, if I could collect the information now, I don't have to wait for it. I don't have to do it in a batch mode sometime later. It's real-time at the time I need it. So that's the end of, no, not the end of chapter 11. That's, and the next slide is supply chain. That's the whole rest of the chapter. I'm going to do that Thursday in the 10:30 class and then make the recording available as usual. So that's all I'm going to do today. Any questions on any of this ripping, wonderful information? Aren't you glad you have to take this class? You can be truthful. Everybody's laughing. Just asking, how many people would take this class if you didn't have to? I see by the arm. It's actually, if you become a manager, and some of these things are pretty valuable. I think the stuff I teach in the graduate class, I teach you what happens when you do certain policies and stuff. It's probably more valuable, but anyway, I probably should turn the recording off now that I'm saying all this. If anybody ever watches my recordings, I'm toast. All right, any questions, anything? I'm gonna shut the recording off before I really say something dumb. All right, have a good one. Have a great rest of your week.